complicating matters, a new blockbuster expose from the New Republic on some pretty suspect dealings within the Clinton Foundation. At the center of it, a guy named Doug Band, Bill Clinton's former body man, longtime confidant. Band oversaw the Clinton Global Initiative and eventually started his own corporate consulting firm dependent on his relationship with Clinton. As reporter Alec MacGillis, who will join me in a moment, writes, for corporations, attaching Clinton's brand to their social investments offered a major PR boost. As further incentive, they could hope for a kind word from Clinton the next time they landed in a sticky spot. Coca-Cola or Dow or whoever would come to the president, explains a former White House colleague of Band's, and say, we need your help on this. Negotiating these relationships and the trade-offs they required could involve some gray areas. But for that, Clinton had Band. As a former White House colleague put it, Doug Band was a gatekeeper who charged tolls. But now Band's role within Clinton Hand is winding down. He and Bill Clinton only see each other every few months, and Band's position within the foundation is being taken over by none other than Chelsea Clinton. Both the former first daughter and her mother are reportedly wary of Band, yet Band's former boss publicly defended him earlier.
There's nothing wrong with him starting a business with people he met working for me. That's the only way he could have ever met people he could do business with. I'm very grateful for the role that he played when we started out, and I wish him well. I think it was necessary, and I believe he came to see it was necessary, to make a clean break because his business grew more quickly than I think even he thought it would.
Joining me now is Alec MacGillis, senior editor at The New Republic, who wrote that piece on the Clintons for The New Republic. How did the piece come about?
It came about a long time ago, back in, gosh, I think before the election, before the 2012 election, one of my editors approached me and said, we think it's time to do a good profile of Doug Band. He's been in the background in a lot of stories for the last decade or so. His profile's been growing, but he's never been really focused on. So I started making calls in basically the day after the election. It's been a very long slog. Clinton land is locked down more than ever before. So it's been on and off for 10 months now.
So explain who this guy is and the role he plays.
He's a fascinating figure. He's just very complicated and fascinating figure. He was the guy who he was the body man for Bill Clinton, the character we know from West Wing as Charlie Young, who he helped tutor to play that role. So he comes in as the last body man for Bill Clinton in 2000, 1999, 2000, carries the bags, carries the cigar case, carries the Cokes, Diet Cokes, and then after President Clinton leaves the White House, he stays with Clinton. He had an offer at Goldman Sachs. He could have just taken a regular, successful business route. He stays with President Clinton, stays in that role of assistant, travels all around the world with him, just hundreds of cities, dozens of countries, on the private jets for all these years, and becomes basically the main guy.
Yeah, if you want to get Bill Clinton to come to your event or get to him, you go through Doug Band.
Exactly.
And so what's the problem here? What is the scandal is in the headline of your piece? Like, to justify the use of that word to me.
Well, the use of scandal was a bit of a headline writer's irony, but there's a problem, and the problem is that there's been increasing overlap, really, between both for Doug Band and for sort of Bill Clinton and Clinton land as a whole, overlap between the great public good that they've been doing, including Doug Band. Doug Band helped come up with the Clinton Global Initiative, which has distributed billions of dollars around the world.
It's done amazing stuff.
Does amazing stuff, but there's been increasing overlap between that public good and private benefit.
Yeah, there's two stories I want to get out of you from the piece. One is about the post office, which is a jaw-dropping story to me. What happened with the post office?
So in 2009, Doug Band's family owns the post office in Sarasota. His dad's a very successful real estate developer.
They own the building the post office leases
Exactly.
from. Right.
The main post office in Sarasota, where Doug is from. The Postal Service, desperate to get its finances in better shape, wants to buy this building back from the family. They have sort of a lease-to-buy arrangement. The family objects to the terms that the Postal Service...
The price.
Postal Service offers $800 grand for this building. The family wants a lot more. So Doug places a call in the summer of 2009 to a longtime Clinton fundraiser who happens to sit on the Postal Service Board of Governors. This is the board that's supposed to be looking out for the interests of the Postal Service and the taxpayer and all that. And places the call, and this man, a Philadelphia lawyer by the name of Alec Kessler, jumps into action, just makes calls, emails all around the Postal Service saying, please fix this. Doug Band could go to Capitol Hill and cause problems for us. Doug Band is so-and-so. and
we need to pay more money for this post office in Sarasota because the right-hand man of the ex-president of the United States called me on the phone and said so.
Exactly. And there's a wonderful exchange of emails that I got in a Freedom of Information request, chatter about Chelsea's wedding and a lot of just sort of Clinton land.
Isn't this just the way that all of the 1% roll? Like, couldn't you just do the same thing on the Bushies, on any prominent, like this moving back and forth between public and private? Like, that's just how everyone works, right?
It is how Washington works these days, and that's a real problem. What I think sets this apart is the scale of it. The amounts of money involved that are sort of swirling around Doug and Clinton land are just enormous.
I want to talk about that. We should also say we reached out to Clinton Global Initiative and Doug Band for comment. Neither of them got back to us. We will be back with someone who wrote a piece on the Clintons only to have it spiked from the magazine.